welcome on into the First Alert Weather Breakdown. I'm Meteorologist Thomason. Thank you very much for coming on into the First Alert Weather Breakdown. Hey, it is 10:30. Welcome on in. Welcome on into the start of rain showers. Now, man, I wish I've actually put the research into this, but it has not rained here since definitely before Christmas. The point is, we haven't had rain across the entire holiday break. It's been at least 2 to 3 weeks since we have had any substantial rainfall around the Arklatex here for you. And finally, back here for the day today. We at least have the chance for storms. It doesn't mean we're getting significant rainfall for the day today, but it is greater than any chance of rain that we've had over the past 3 weeks, which has been goose egg. But here for tomorrow, I will say the light rain for today is going to give way and lead into more substantial storms that are going to be showing up here for your Friday, which is the actual cold front coming on in. That's what we're keeping you first alert about, with all the details on that and more right here on this update. And there's a little tweak, as usual, per day. That's always what makes my job interesting. We make little tiny tweaks and changes and get a little more specific into the forecast to give you those latest details and try to be as exact with the timing and the threats of everything, especially as it comes on in. And now, I think we're getting a pretty good idea of what this system is actually bringing us here between both today and tomorrow. Again, 2 days which provide rain chances. Tomorrow is just looking a little more significant than today's overall here for the Arklatex. So, real quick, before we show you the full rundown here for the day today, again, everything is surrounding around storms. So let me go ahead and give you the quick first alert to the actual current radar here in and of itself before we get the full rundown of what we're giving you here for on the First Alert Weather Breakdown here for you. Again, here's a look at the current radar out right now. It hasn't given us too much here yet this morning. We've seen a little bit of some light drizzling showers across the morning hours here, mainly in areas north of I-30, but it looks like that's now cleared out and gone a little bit farther on into the state of Arkansas itself. Meanwhile, looks like a little rain return is starting to come in with a little bit of some tiny bursts of some light rain, though, coming through some of our northwest Louisiana parishes, and this is kind of coming out of areas just to the east side of Nacogdoches through Shelby County there and going through DeSoto Parish here, continuing up north and east across the Arklatex here at this hour. But one thing I want to get to at this hour is that this is just a very large system. This is essentially the tip of the iceberg. This is what I like to call almost the appetizer for what is to come. This is the whole system. Now, obviously, not all this rain in Kansas and Missouri is moving towards the Arklatex. In fact, if you look at its current position, all this mess is moving up northward. But the point is, this is a huge system with the tail end that right now is extending through Oklahoma and Dallas. But the thing is that this front is kind of going to stall around the Arklatex and give us a chance for more wet weather over the next 2 days, including today and especially here for tomorrow. And that's why especially we want to keep you first alert here. So let's get in the full rundown here for you, all right? So here for the day today, it's pretty much just talking about storms. Not really all exclusive content. It's pretty much just diving into, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them on our YouTube page. I do see a little bit of a handful of you coming on in. Again, feel free to leave a question, comment if you want to have it answered here live on the podcast. Again, that's on our YouTube stream. You go to youtube.com, you search in KSLA News 12, and we should be the top result there for you. You just click on the first video and live stream should pop up there for you. All right, so again, we're talking about storms here between both today and tomorrow, and we're going to also what happens as a result of these storms, which is mainly a big cool down that will be in store for you in just a couple of days' time. Now, keep in mind, it's going to be still very warm with the rain around. That's part of what's fueling up these thunderstorms, especially at the surface, especially here for tomorrow. In the afternoon hours, tailoring a little more towards the evening now. Again, we're going to go to the specific timing in just a little bit. But essentially, it stays warm here for the next 2 days before we get a big cool down rocking in here for the weekend. That's actually going to look to stay in place. I think that's one of the most important, or maybe not important, but one of the most impressive things about the system is that cold air is staying. Maybe a call for January actually hanging around rather than us going back up into 70s once more. We'll see. Anyways, let's get you into the full forecast here for you and keep you first to learn about the skies here around the Arklatex. They are filled with almost a blanket of cloud cover all across the region here for you, around the region. I mean, you can't even see any maybe a little bit of a peak of sunshine in the top left corner of your screen, but you get the point. We got lots of cloud cover all around the region here for you from Shreveport. And it almost looks the same aspect in for Texarkana as well. Though I will say, watch to note on this sky cam as well. I know it's not much, and they're just little tiny clouds, but obviously this is a live feed that always comes to us live from Texarkana on the Window World Sky Cam. These are not just snapshots that come in every once in a while. You could see how fast. This is very fast on a webcam. You can see how quick these clouds are moving eastward. That's going to give away one of our headlines here for the day today, which is just a little bit of light rain, but most importantly, wind. It is going to be windy here throughout the Arklatex here for your day today. In fact, we do have a wind advisory in effect that I'll pull up here in just a moment. But current conditions out and around, it's a cloudy day here throughout the Arklatex here for most areas. Temperatures either in the upper 60s or lower 70s. I would say it's comfortable, but it's really not. It's muggy. All this very warm temperatures have been brought up by lots of moisture, lots of muggy conditions, which are sustaining temperatures that are as warm as January could be. And we've seen that throughout the week with this warm air mass essentially being packed into place before this cold front. Finally, it's arriving today and tomorrow, giving us rain, but then it eventually finally passes over us heading into your weekend, giving us a cool down then. So that's one of our headlines, is that we have a big cool blast on the way here in time for the weekend once this rain finally clears on out. But we have to get through plenty of storms to get to that point first and foremost. So this is going to be giving us multiple rounds of storms throughout the Arklatex here between today and I think one full round here for tomorrow. But again, still multiple chances for you to catch on to storms here over the course of the next 48 hours or so. And I'm looking at severe weather as well, possibly. Now, thankfully, it's remaining on the lower end of the scale, which is good to see. We'll go more over that more thoroughly in a second. But I will say, as of right now, more of the severe storms are looking to pop up on Friday compared to today. So first and foremost, let's go over, I guess, a little more of the easier part of the forecast here, which is going over the temperatures. Highs today stretch up into the 70s here over the next 2 days still, and then are dropped really quickly between Friday and Saturday, and we're down to highs in the 50s. And again, those stick around. We at least have 4 to 5 consecutive days where we have high temperatures pretty much in the 50s. Usually when we've had these cool blasts and these cold blasts coming on in, it lasts a full day, and then it's gone, and then it fades away. That's not going to be the case with the system. This actually looks to sustain in some cooler air here for you over the next couple of days in for the region. Not just to mention the afternoons as well. The mornings will be greatly cooling off too. We've had mornings mostly sustained in the 60s here all work week long. There's going to be a big change in pace for that and a rude awakening once you go to work and to school here to start off next work week. We're talking lows getting and dropping all the way into the 20s and 30s and lower 30s at that. So it's going to be heavy coat weather. And if you feel comfortable with it, a beanie, gloves, you know what helps you feel comfortable with these temperatures, as we've had these pretty much around for most of the season. But as the 50s have stuck around with highs, or are projected to stick around here throughout most of the weekend and into next week, I think the 30s, mornings in the 30s, get used to them. I think they're going to be more of a frequent occurrence here through a good portion of next work week too. And that could start as early as Sunday here for you as well around the Arklatex. All right, so heading on into your radar and satellite picture here for you. Here's the big picture. To be fair, I drew this out a little bit early this morning. Forgot to refresh this, but essentially this low pressure system is a little more positioned further on into the state of Oklahoma now instead of northern Texas. But you think you get the point. You see the swirl around the low pressure system. You really see how powerful this system is in first and foremost. There's the cold front. And you look at this line, particularly across Texas. It's not moving too far off to the south and east, meaning this system is doing what we're projecting it to do, stalling out, which means this is almost going to turn into a fire hydrant of moisture that goes straight into the Arklatex. I mean, we've already seen that with the cloud blanket on top of us now, but essentially you're going to really start to feel that with this line of severe storms, which currently is kind of trailed up in the northeast Oklahoma. This is going to redevelop in for the day tomorrow and include some portions of Texas and out into the Arklatex here for your Friday. Again, we're going to take more of a thorough look at that in the future track, but again, the point is, plenty of moisture involved with this system. A very powerful system at that, too. The yellow and orange is just the colors all around not only the Arclitex, but many areas around us indicate higher cloud tops, more moisture, more power, in order to give way to some thunderstorms, which are eventually coming back into the Arclitex here for you. So here's your first alert Doppler radar. And again, as mentioned earlier, it's thankfully mostly dry as of the bulk of the Arclitex here for you. Zooming on into some specific areas, got some light drizzle out into DeSoto Parish, a little bit into southern Bossier Parish too. As you can see on the loop, this is trying to move up a little bit north and east in the process as well. Again, most of this is just a light drizzle at best, and as you can see on the radar picture, it's not a whole lot of it. It's just very tiny areas of light rain just kind of sprinkled in that's trying to move up north and east from areas like the St. Augustine and Huxley up further up towards the I-20 corridor, working a little closer into the Shreveport type of area. But overall, here's the big aspect of everything. The big system. Again, the bulk of the rain as of right now is up in Kansas and Missouri. But all eyes, especially even this morning, have been on this tail end line, which has gone through Oklahoma. And to be fair, is getting a little close to the Arclitex. In fact, if I zoom on in, this is attacking Fayetteville right now, going across the I-40 corridor, just off to the north side of the region. And technically, the very tail end of this line it looks like it's a little more weaker than areas that are hitting, say, just off to the east side of McAllister. This is trying to move eastward to the Arclitex, but it's not. It looks like it's not really getting too much of a substantial power with it, meaning it's not getting too much moderate to heavy rainfall sustained with it. That's really moving eastward at all. That's the case in point here for the day today. There's not really too much of a severe weather risk here for today, except for the northern edge of the Arclitex, which makes sense because it looks like this tail end is going to be hitting the northern end of the Arclitex in the next little bit. You can track that out actually on this future track here for you. Around lunchtime, you can see the line trying to approach McCurtain County and only give us a little bit of some pockets of light rain involved with it as well. Now, to be fair, in front of the actual line, again, you still have more sprinkles of light rain continuing off and on anywhere around the Arclitex. We're talking Natchitoches, bottom to top, Natchitoches, all the way up into DeQueen. Anybody has the chance for wet weather here for the day today. Now, going in a little more thoroughly into the afternoon hours, looks like it gets a little more scarce then as you see it try to come on through, but it still could be possible all the way into the afternoon hours before I believe we get a full break once we get into the evening and definitely nighttime hours here for your Thursday. That doesn't mean the cloud cover goes away. The moisture's still there. Case in point of what I said earlier, this cold front is essentially going to be stuck. It's not going to move. Cold front's kind of still trapped in the northern edge of the Arclitex with the dry air that you see with the lack of cloud cover. But essentially, this is going to be forming the chance for more storms for us tomorrow. Starting tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow morning, on your morning commute, that's just fine. Storms begin to pop up at the earliest, it looks like, by around lunchtime and late lunchtime hours at that. Even then, it looks like it starts with some light rain. But there you see some cells containing definitely some heavy rainfall and, most importantly, the chance for severe weather. Even though it remains low, I think this contains a slightly greater chance of severe weather that we've had with any systems that we've seen in the past maybe month or two, which essentially has been no severe weather chance. So case in point, just keep your head on a swivel. Keep yourself weather aware here a little bit here for the afternoon and evening hours. You can pay attention to the timing. Again, earliest the storms come in here is around lunchtime. Then for the afternoon, mainly on the commute ride home, that's when some of this heavy rain is going to be trying to come on through. And it could be hitting anywhere from Texarkana down to Shreveport here in the process. And we're still expected to form more storms behind even that system to give us more bunches of moderate to heavy rainfall, potentially all the way up until, yes, 10 p.m. This is going to be lasting into your Friday night plans. So not only does this affect us during the work and school commutes, to and from the house, specifically in the afternoon hours, this will be also affecting your Friday night plans. So technically the very first part of the weekend. It's not until we essentially get into the overnight hours when things begin to dry up, even some storms possible around Natchitoches as late as 2 to 3 in the morning. And then by the time you're waking up on Saturday morning, good to go. Good to go for the weekend. And the weekend looks beautiful, by the way. Saturday and Sunday. maybe a little bit of cloud cover still left, especially for the southern half of the Arctic there for your Saturday. But overall, we are looking rain-free on both days. Hey, that's the future track. Just reminded myself that I got to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back after 2 minutes. We're going to go into more specifics of what we're dealing with threat-wise out of the system, and we're going to go into maybe how much rainfall can we actually get to help out our drought, those kind of specifics around the storms. We discussed the timing. Again, we'll get a little more into the threats after a quick commercial break right after this. See you after the break. 2 minutes. Welcome back to the first weather breakdown. Again, we were talking about the timing of things, which is mostly coming in for tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, mainly for the chance of severe weather, if it is going to happen, which most of the threats are thankfully looking low. But hey, again, let's get into the actual threats that we're dealing with here for this system. All right, so we just went over the future track. Now, let's go over the we're going to go actually, I'll talk about the other future track here in just a little bit, actually. I forgot I had that graphic, not going to lie to you. We'll go over that to review, actually. How about that? For today's severe weather risk, here's what's left here for the day today. If we're going to get anything, it's going to be across the northern end of the Arctic, essentially north of I-30 here for the most part, up towards DeQueen, Idabel, McCurtain County, Howard County, Sevier County, out in Arkansas. Again, that would be if anything. I'm mostly expecting maybe some strong wind gusts, especially in those areas. And speaking of which, I actually forgot to show y'all the wind advisor. I'm going to show y'all that actually real quick right now. Here it is. It is in effect for Titus, Morris, and Camp counties, in effect for the Arctic, essentially only around the Mount Pleasant area up until pretty much 4 p.m. here for the day today. So we're just watching out for strong winds like this, which I'm going to go ahead and get to, because if anything is going to bring us severe weather here for the day today, I think it's going to be the strong winds. Going back, here's some of the wind gusts that you're seeing probably out and around lunchtime. You're talking wind gusts as high as 30 to 40 miles an hour. You're showing up here within the next 2 to 3 hours. So it's going to be a windy one here for your Thursday, even though only just a little bit of light rain is showing up. If it's just light rain showing up with the strong winds, it's really just going to make your commutes I wouldn't say miserable, but it's certainly just going to make them a little more difficult than what they usually are here for a typical Arctic day. Now, this starts to fade away once we get into the nighttime hours. And to be fair, tomorrow's winds, just to go over, since we have the next 2 days of rain, tomorrow's winds don't look as bad. I think the main issue with tomorrow, wind-wise, is you'll notice these tiny little peaks of orange and red. That indicates some strong winds embedded within the storms that are going to happen tomorrow. This does not indicate really a widespread windy day whenever it's not storming. That's my case in point. Today is just going to be windy regardless of whether the storms are there or not, here throughout the region. All right, so again, just to recap, here for the day today, only got a marginal risk in place for the northern edge of the Arctic. Most of our severe weather chance is coming tomorrow, if it's going to happen here for the most part. And that's mainly the case, again, for the timing, as we just discussed earlier, between Friday afternoon and Friday evening. You're mostly looking at the yellow shade for the greatest chance of severe weather, again, if it's going to happen. This is a slight risk of severe weather, which is at a level 2 out of 5. It's, again, not the greatest. It's not an enhanced to moderate risk, thankfully, but it's still it's still as great of a severe weather risk as we've seen in 1 or 2 months, as discussed earlier. This goes in effect pretty much for Natchitoches, most of the eastern half of the Arctic, specifically in for northwest Louisiana. Shreveport is technically in the marginal risk, barely, but I'd still watch out pretty much if you're across most of northwest Louisiana. Marginal risk goes into play here across East Texas, Marshall, Longview, Texarkana, up into Magnolia at this point in time. So essentially, we're trying to form up these these storms with some heavy rainfall pretty much right along my blue arrow from Texarkana to Longview, as just discussed in that future track. It starts forming here, and the storms start maturing a little bit more with a little more strength. And as they do, they push eastward and start to gain some severe weather strength a little more into this yellow shade out towards Natchitoches and Ruston, which is, again, where we have the greatest chance of severe weather with strong winds and things like that. In fact, let's go into the severe weather risks here over the next 2 days. I'm expecting most of the threats to come with strong winds, if it's going to be at anything. Hail, I don't think we'll see flash flooding, but I think hail and tornadic threats are low with this system, but not zero. I do want to stress that out as well. Don't be entirely surprised if a tornado warning does show up, unfortunately, here between for Friday night. But it is not likely at this point in time. All right. So, actually, before we go over this graphic, I want to go over the other future track here with you. Stop running. There we go. Let's backtrack here for a moment. Again, we just have little light rain sprinkles scattered across the Arctic here through the day today at any point. So you just see those kind of tiny little popcorn type storms, little tiny cells. They're not big in size. You might get some heavy rain out towards areas as far south, maybe as Texarkana, but overall everything is looking like light rain here for the rest of the day today. Before we definitely get a break here, for tomorrow morning, then storms start to appear around kind of the early afternoon hours. They start to appear, and then they start to mature once we get the heat of the afternoon going, and that's going to lead into more scattered storms and widespread storms showing up here again for tomorrow evening. Could start to affect you as early as your afternoon commute home around 4 or 5 o'clock, and will definitely be rolling on through as late as, say, 10 p.m., 11 p.m. I mean, look at this. 9 to 10 p.m., we still have lots of heavy rain scattered around, especially the eastern half of the Arctic, which is where the greatest chance of severe weather threat is. It's not until Saturday, again, when you wake up, that's when we finally get rid of the storms fully here for you. So, overall, created a graphic that I think kind of summarizes everything up for you over the next 2 days worth of rain. Here for the day today, especially just the rest of the morning hours, as you saw, it's just the stray little bits and pieces of light rain coming on through. That's going to continue to be the message here for the afternoon hours, but we really start to ramp up the windy conditions, especially within the next 2 to 3 hours in for the afternoon. Case in point, again, we also have a wind advisory in effect for technically only 3 of our East Texas counties, but we still have very windy conditions widespread across the Arctic as a whole into this afternoon. So it's going to be windy, it's going to be light rain, and again, whenever it's not raining here today, it's still going to be incredibly cloudy. Once you get into Friday morning, nice little break, but it's still going to be cloudy, still going to be muggy, still going to be warm. That'll fuel up the thunderstorms here for the afternoon and nighttime hours of Friday. That's probably the best time to stay weather aware, as that could be the chance of severe weather coming on in. Now, to mention a little bit of some events and also a little bit of some lifestyle forecasts here for you to kind of summarize everything all together. Tomorrow, Crew to Meter Ball. Hey, our own Dominique Ben, our own morning anchor, is going to be emceeing that event. Thankfully, and I've confirmed that with her about 2 to 3 times, that will be indoors, but obviously traveling to and from the event, getting out of your car, going into the actual event center itself. You're going to need the umbrella and then some here for tomorrow night. Looking like widespread storms, especially late into the nighttime hours. I think especially as you're going on in as well. So just keep track of that radar and don't forget the rain gear, or else you're going to be showing up into the event center soaked. And that's just just not a fan of being soaked, especially in that kind of event with maybe some good costumes out there for Mardi Gras. Hey, anyways, for the weekend, things are looking a lot better. This is what happens as a result of us finally getting the rain out of here. Now, again, rain can, as just discussed, impact your Friday night plans, but thankfully they aren't getting into the bulk of the weekend itself. Saturday and Sunday look completely rain-free. It's just going to be much cooler. Highs are only going to be down in the 50s, so you're going to want to, if you're running some errands out and about or doing some yard work, jacket probably going to be needed even pretty much at any time of the day. Here for you. Maybe a heavier one in the morning, a little bit of a lighter one in for the afternoon. So here's that thorough 7-day forecast to tailor everything together. We got highs in the 70s over the next 2 days. Then look at the 50s coming around. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. All highs in the 50s. Mornings down in the 30s there for 4 consecutive mornings between Sunday and Wednesday morning at least here for you. We don't start to see signs of a warm-up until the middle of next week. And even then, highs are only projected to get up into the mid-60s as of right now for the second half of next week. So, case in point of what I described earlier, it is cold air that is staying in place. It's not just here for a day or two and then fading away. It will be here for at least a good long while in for the Arklatex. Again, you just got to get through the next 2 rainy days. They're featuring at least some warm temperatures to make you, I guess, a little more comfortable, but it's still going to be muggy and rainy there between the next 2 days, especially here for tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. Just watch out for a few light rain showers, as just discussed, here throughout the day today. So, again, last thing before I go. Best time to stay weather aware. It's definitely here for tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. All right? Want you to take it easy out there. Stay weather aware with us just in case something happens. I know the severe weather threat is low, but again, it's not zero. All right? Okay, we will have plenty of updates here throughout the day today. In fact, our next update on our forecast here over the next 2 days will be the noon show, just over an hour away from now. Hey, that'll be with Jake Lambright coming up on that noon show here for you. Meanwhile, here for the first start with a breakdown, we got one more work week day. There we go. Here for tomorrow on your Friday, that'll be airing at 10:30, same time, same place. We're going to go over your weekend travel forecast for those of you traveling outside of the Arklatex, out towards Dallas, New Orleans. I'm a good traveler. I love traveling around, visiting different places. We'll share with you the forecast if you're going to different places over the weekend. All coming up in our exclusive content of the First Alert Weather Breakdown tomorrow at 10:30. Again, same time, same place. Be there, be square, and most importantly, stay weather aware. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Take it easy.